Hello, my dear grade 7 students. Welcome back to Mamurana and Chris channel. So for today, we are going to discuss about Science Quarter 1 Module 4, which is entitled, I have less, she has ample, he has more. Let us see what's in store. So we are now using the printed module coming from the Department of Education for grade 7 Science. Okay, so let us proceed with the lesson number 1, which is entitled Saturated and Unsaturated Solution. So let's have the what I need to know part. So let's have a short introduction about what is solution. So a solution is formed when a solute dissolves in a solvent to form a single phase that appears uniform throughout. So a solution has two components. Namely, we have the solute. So that is the substance that is being dissolved, and it is the component that is present in smaller amount. While on the other hand, we have the solvent, that is the substance in which the solute is being dissolved, and it is the component that is available in greater quantity or greater amount. So a solution is clear and the particles are too small that they cannot be seen by the unaided eye. So since the particles in solution are smaller than the pores of the filter paper or the cheesecloth, therefore, they can pass through the filter paper. So in this module, you're going to find out how much solute can dissolve in a given amount of solvent, and you're going to find out the type of solution based on whether there is excess solute or not. So we have the following objectives. So you are expected to, number 1, describe saturated and unsaturated solution. Number 2, determine how much solid solute dissolves in each volume of water. And number 3, describe the appearance of a saturated solution. So let's have now the what I know part. So we're going to read each item carefully, write only the letter of the correct answer for each question. Use a separate sheet for your answers. So we have questions number 1 to 10 for the what I know part. Okay, let's proceed with the what's in part. So as a sort of recall, so in your grade 6 science, you have learned about different mixtures and their characteristics. You have done activities wherein you mixed a solid and a liquid, or you have combined two different liquids. So while in the process of mixing, you have observed that these mixtures either form homogeneous or heterogeneous mixtures. So how do we know if a mixture is a homogeneous? So you have seen that when all parts of the mixtures have the same uniform appearance and properties, therefore it is homogeneous. What about heterogeneous? How do we know if a mixture is a heterogeneous one? So when different parts of the mixtures are visible to the eyes and it consists of two or more phases, therefore, it is said to be a heterogeneous mixture. So for the first activity, so look at the given substances below and guess where each of the substances belongs. So answer the table below by putting a check inside the table 1 if it is homogeneous or heterogeneous mixture. So table 1, activity 1, the title is Where Do I Belong? So we have here 5 substances given. So we're going to identify whether the given substance is homogeneous or heterogeneous. We will just put a check inside the table. So number 1, substance is gelatin. Number 2 is cup of milk. Number 3 are candies. Number 4, cup of coffee. And then number 5, veggie salad. Activity 2, finding solutions at home. So here, going to list down some common solutions found at home and do the activity below. So you have to copy the table. On the first column, you're going to write down products or solutions found at home or in stores. Then on the second column, you're going to enumerate the characteristics of the products that you have written down on the first column. Let us say, for example, vinegar or suka. So ano ba ang characteristics o katangian ng suka in terms of its color? So you can write down here, it is white in color, or it has a whitish appearance. So just like that. So we have here the following guide questions. So number 1, describe the observable characteristics of listed solutions. So nandito na yun, sasagot ninyo sa column number 2. Number 2, as you observe, each product was described in terms of color and appearance, odor, feel, taste, and number of phases. Ito yung continuation ng question. Which of these products are solutions? So you're going to enumerate here what they think are the products here, which is classified as solutions. Paano ba natin malalaman kung solution? Kapag meron siyang uniform appearance. It is, the number of phases is only 1. Okay. Then, let's proceed with the what's new part. So, we have activity number 3. What is the evidence that a solution is saturated? So, you're going to perform the activity below on your own. No? Make sure that you ask for the guidance of your parents or your guardians or your older siblings. So, if the materials written here are present at your home, you can be able to perform the activities. So let's enumerate the materials needed. So 6 teaspoons of sugar, 1 cup of water, 1 measuring cup with 1 cup capacity, 1 measuring spoon with 1/2 teaspoon capacity, 2 small clear transparent bottle, 2 stirrers or spoon. Disregard this thermometer. Hindi natin siya gagamitin. Okay, so I will be discussing the procedure so that you can follow the experiment. So procedure number 1. So put 20 ml of water or approximately 2 tablespoons of water in a small clear transparent bottle. So pwedeng sa glass na transparent para madali nyo ma-observe. So 2 kutsara ng tubig. Wala kayong panukat in ml. And then after that, you're going to add 1/2 teaspoon of sugar and stir. So, mag-add kayo ng kalahating kutsarita ng asukal and then hahaluin. Then, answer question number 1. What is the appearance of the solutions? Write your observations. Then, procedure 2. To the sugar solution in step number 1. So, isang baso lang yung gagamitin natin. Hindi pala dalawa, isa lang. So, you're going to add another 1/2 teaspoon of sugar. Small portion at a time, and stir the solution to dissolve the sugar. So at this point, you have added 1 teaspoon of sugar. So you make sure that you're going to write down your information or data in terms of the number of 1/2 teaspoon of sugar that you are adding at a certain time. Procedure number 3. Add 1/2 teaspoon of sugar to the sugar solution in step number 2 and stir the solution. At this point, you have added 1.5 teaspoon of sugar. So this time, pangatlong 1/2 teaspoon of sugar na yung na-add ninyo sa 20 ml of water. Procedure 4. Continue adding 1/2 teaspoon of sugar to the same cup. So mag-add uli ng kalahating kutsarita ng asukal until the sugar no longer dissolves. So you will just continue adding the 1/2 teaspoon of sugar until you reach the point that you see sugar particles below on your glass, which no longer dissolves. In Tagalog, kapag titigil lang kayong maglagay ng 1/2 teaspoon or kalahating kutsarita ng asukal, pag napansin na ninyo na kahit anong halo ninyo sa tubig or sa water, meron pa ring sugar na nananatili sa ilalim ng baso. Okay. Then, that's the time you're going to stop adding sugar. Then, proceed on answering question number 2. So, how many teaspoons of sugar have you added until the sugar no longer dissolves? So, number, ilang kutsarita. Note, in this step, you will observe that there is already excess sugar which did not dissolve. Yun yung sinabi ni Ma'am kanina, na meron na kayong nakikitang asukal sa bottom ng glass na hindi na natunaw kahit anong halo ninyo sa water. Then, question 3. So, how many teaspoons of sugar dissolved completely in 20 ml of water? So, write down here the number of teaspoon. So, ilan lang yung kinayang tunawin nung 20 ml of water? Ilang teaspoon ng asukal? So, note, this is now the maximum amount of sugar that will completely dissolve in 20 ml of water. So, dito, sa question 2, pag nasagot nyo yan, pag umabot kayo sa point na meron ng sugar na hindi natutunaw, meaning, yan ay saturated solution. At yung part naman or yung number of teaspoon na nakakaya pang tunawin ng 20 ml of water, meaning ang solution na nabubuo ninyo is an unsaturated solution. Okay. Now, let's have the what is it part. So let's have the discussion. So the substances that make up a homogeneous solution are called components of the solution. So these components are called solvent and a solute. So what is a solvent and what is a solute? So we have mentioned a while ago. Solvent, it is a component of solution which dissolves the other component in itself. It institutes the larger component of the solution. So for example, water is a solvent that dissolves solid substance like sugar. So yung tubig, yung solvent. Solute, it is the component of the solution which dissolves in the solvent. It has the lesser component of the solution. So for example, sugar is a solute that dissolves in water. Okay, dun sa experiment natin sa activity number 3, so you observe that the appearance of solution containing less amount of solute or sugar was clear or transparent. So when sugar is dissolved in water, the particles of sugar gets between the spaces of the particles of water and creates a single phase of solution. So meaning completely natunaw siya. However, when you slowly add more amount of sugar into a solution and stir it, you will observe that the solution reaches already the point at which it cannot dissolve more solute and the sugar you add sinks to the bottom of the water. So you have observed that there is a maximum amount of sugar, of solute like sugar, that can dissolve in a given amount of solvent like water at a certain temperature. So that process that took place between sugar and water is known as the solubility of the solute. So it can be classified into two. We can be able to form a saturated solution and we can be able to form an unsaturated solution. Ano ba yung tinatawag nating saturated solution? The solution that contains the maximum amount of solute dissolved by a given amount of solvent is called a saturated solution. So how are we going to identify if a solution is saturated? So the presence of an excess solid which can no longer dissolve is evidence that the solution is saturated. So pag meron na tayong nakikitang excess na solid na hindi na kayang tunawin ng solvent, meaning that solution is already saturated. How do we know if a solution is unsaturated? So a solution is unsaturated when it contains less solute than the maximum it can dissolve at a given temperature. So whenever na-observe mo na nag-add ka ng solute sa solvent and natutunaw siya palagi, so meaning the solution that you are forming is still unsaturated. Basta natutunaw pa siya, kaya pa siyang tunawin ng solvent, it is unsaturated. Kapag meron ng solute na nagsisettle at the bottom of the container, meaning na-reach na yung tinatawag nating saturated solution. Okay. So, answer here the guide question. So, number 1, what is the difference between the unsaturated and saturated solution? Anong difference nilang dalawa? Number 2, how do you know a solution is saturated? Number 3, what happens when a solution becomes saturated? Then number 4, how many grams or teaspoon of sugar dissolve in 20 ml of water to form saturated solution? Okay, so let's proceed now with the what's more part. So study the table below and answer the following questions. So the given here is 35 grams of table salt will form saturated solution in 100 ml of water. Meaning, pag nag-add tayo ng 35 grams ng salt, ng asin, so 100 ml of water, ang na-form natin ay saturated solution. So we have here the data on the table. So on the first column, the amount of table salt in grams, which is in 20, 35, and 70, to be dissolved in the 100 ml of water in the second column. So you're going to answer the guide questions below. So number 1, in which amount of table salt and water will form an unsaturated solution? So is it 20, 35, or 70? Number 2, how many grams of table salt will dissolve to form a saturated solution? So basahin lang po yung given, no? Okay, so is it 20, 35, or 70? Then for number 3, which of the following will form a supersaturated solution? What do you think? Is the solution which will become supersaturated? So is it 20, 35, or 70? in 100 ml of water. So that's it for the what's more. Okay, let's proceed now with the what I have learned. So complete the statements below to express what you have learned from the lesson. So kung talagang may natutunan sa ating discussion kanina, so you can be able to fill in the blanks to complete the statements or sentences here. So we have numbers 1, 2, 4. Okay, let's proceed now with the what I can do part. So we're going to list down some examples of solutions that we need to prepare or make in the form of unsaturated and saturated solution. So you're going to make a table like this on the first column for the unsaturated and on the second column for the saturated solution. Let us give an example. Say for example, iced coffee, unsaturated. Kasi pag natunaw ang yelo ng mixture, probably tatabang siya. So, can be unsaturated solution. For the saturated, I think, if let's say for example, we're going to add 10 tablespoons of sugar in a coffee mixture. So, that is saturated. Paano natin nasabi na saturated? So, using our common sense, alam naman natin, pag nag-add ka ng 10 kutsara ng asukal sa kape, so probably merong asukal na hindi na kayang tunawin. So, mananatili lamang siya sa nagsisettle sa bottom ng tasa. So, that is an example of saturated solution. So, list down at least 4 examples for each. Okay. And then, let's have now the assessment or the post test. So, we're going to read the items carefully, write only the letter of the correct answer for each question. So, we have here 10 item multiple choice test. So, basahin ng mabuti. Write down the letter of your answer. That's for the assessment. And for the last activity on lesson 1 of module 4, additional activities. So, saturated solutions aren't just for science. Saturated solutions and solubility play an important role in our lives, especially in the kitchen. So, in this home kitchen experiment, we will be examining how temperature relates to solubility. Okay, caution. Take note. Remember this. Please do the activity seriously to avoid some problems. And be careful in handling hot water. So we have the directions here. So number 1, prepare 2 large cups and place it on a plain table. So dalawang tasa. Add hot water in one of the cup, mainit na tubig, and then cold water in the other cup. So malamig na tubig sa kabilang tasa. Number 3, next, spoon by spoon, add as much sugar as you can if it keeps dissolving. So do this to the hot water first to avoid it cooling, and then repeat with the cold water. So, kung available pa yung sugar ninyo sa bahay at kung hindi kayo pagagalitan ng mga nanay ninyo, so gamitin ng sugar pero magpaalam bago gamitin ng sugar. So, mag-a-add lang spoon by spoon ng sugar sa hot water. Unahin muna yung hot water para hindi kagad siya lumamig. Mag-add lang na mag-add ng sugar hanggang ito ay kayang tunawin ng water. And then, ulitin lamang doon sa cold water. Then, number 4. Record how many spoonful of sugar you can add in each cup until it is completely dissolved. So, kailangan ma-record ninyo kung ilang kutsara lamang ng sugar ang nakayang tunawin ng hot water at ng cold water. So, we're going to answer the table here. So, make a table with 2 columns. On the first column, write temperature, so the cold and the hot. And then, on the second column, the spoonful of sugar. So, here, you're going to write down the amount of sugar or the number of spoon of sugar for the cold and hot water. And then, answer the question, which temperature had a greater solubility and how did you know? So, it's either cold or hot. And then, how did you know? So, include observations from your experiment. Okay, so that ends our lesson 1, which is about saturated solution and unsaturated solution. So, if you have questions regarding our lesson for today, just give me a message so that we can be able to answer your queries or your questions on our lesson. Okay, that's all for today. Good luck and God bless my dear grade 7 students. Bye!